COVID-19, you have made me determined. This past year has been crazy and weird. You have changed things for me by stopping me from seeing family and friends and volunteering. And for that, I'm ready for you to pack your bags and leave. But if I can take one positive thing from you, it would be I'm somewhat grateful for you making me determined to get back into work. Yours sincerely, Becca.
Dear COVID-19, you have made me feel isolated. This past year has been slow. You have changed things for me by stopping me from feeling comfortable in myself, and for that I hate you. But if I can take one positive thing from you, it will be that you have taught me how to try and learn to enjoy my own company. Yours sincerely, Eve.
Dear COVID-19, you have made me feel disconnected. This year has been very tiring. You changed things for me by confining me to my house, and for that I despise you. But if I can take one positive thing from you, it's that you have definitely made me a lot more independent. Yours sincerely, Joel.
Dear COVID-19, you have made me feel lonely. This past year has been hard. You have changed things for me by stopping me from achieving what I wanted to, and for that I feel angry. But if I can take one positive thing from you, it would be that I now appreciate everything and everyone that I love more. Yours sincerely, Kieran.
Dear COVID-19, this past year has been absolutely traumatising. You changed things for me by giving me a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, and for that I'm being pushed from pillar to post by the mental health services. But if I could take one positive thing from you, it would be the relationship with my CBT therapist. Yours sincerely, Scouser.
Dear COVID-19, you have made me feel lonely. This past year has been a learning experience. You changed things for me by making me lose motivation, and for that I regret the time I spent. But if I could take any positive thing from you, it would be valuing academic studies more. Yours sincerely, Kelly.
Dear COVID, you have made me feel alone a bit and bored without the groups being on. This past year has been boring. You have changed things for me by taking away my social life, but if I can take something positive from you, it would be being grateful for my friends, family, and focusing on myself. From yours sincerely, from Chloe.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
So I want you to tell me how COVID has affected your mental health.
COVID affected my mental health because I was stuck inside and I couldn't see my friends, so I felt alone and sad.
Okay. And what about you, Mr. Bean? How did COVID affect your education?
Well, I got behind on my schoolwork and I wasn't able to experience school trips, e.g. Chester Zoo, which would have been a Year 7-1, or York, because they got cancelled. And I didn't get taught in the proper classroom, so I was stuck in one classroom and I didn't get to experience labs, so I had to do theory for science. And my last reason is that I got delayed meeting my friends before we started Year 7 just because of COVID.
Okay. And what about you, Anonymous? How did COVID affect your education?
I was stuck in the classroom and it was not exciting because I was very, very bored.
Okay. And what about you, Elsa? How did COVID affect your mental health?
COVID affected my mental health because there was a lot of anxiety because all of the lessons and the homework, and it was making me feel like really worried and stuff that I haven't had anything done.
Okay, and what about you, the doctor? How did it affect you, your belonging?
It didn't really affect me in general because I'm already introverted. So I just kind of got used to it easily, and people didn't really have to look at me all day. Like, I didn't have all eyes on me, and I just felt really comfortable.
Okay, and what about you, Sid the Sloth? How did it affect you in technology?
Well, I had to keep going to school online, and that was really hard, and getting used to sitting at home on my own and trying to do my lessons without other people was really hard. But I did get to keep in touch with my friends by using like FaceTime and stuff, so that was really good. At least we could still speak to each other even though we couldn't go outside.
Okay, and what about you, Lauren? What did you learn from COVID?
I learned to be patient with my teachers so they could put the lessons up.
Okay, and what about you, Mr. Bean? What did you learn from COVID?
I learned to be more like aware of like germs and diseases out there, e.g. like COVID, and like wipe things down, sanitize my hands more regularly, like even for any germ. It just really.
Okay, and what about you, Anonymous? Did you learn anything from COVID?
Yeah, I think I learned that the world's going a bit better because the deaths are going low.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Elsa? What did you learn because of COVID?
I learned to spend more time with my family and to not like get like too excited for anything, because obviously you might be like not let down, but you could be let down by like things.
Okay. And what about you, the doctor? What did you learn because of COVID?
I learned that your friends drift away, and you just gotta kind of put up with that because everyone just kind of leaves their friends eventually, and you just find the ones that just stick with you for literally most of your schooling.
Okay. And what about you, Sid the Sloth? What did you learn because of COVID?
I learnt not to rush around so much, and that when we've actually got loads of time, it's nice to just sit and spend time with your family at home sometimes.
To the teachers who it may concern, I'm Morgan. Before lockdown, education as an LGBTQ+ individual was difficult in many aspects. For one thing, we learn about dictators and historic people who made the world what it is today. But why can't we learn about the LGBTQ+ individuals who may have made us who we are today? We learn we should treat everyone equally for who they are, but then students in school strip away our equality, and teachers dismiss this as harmless and say it's just life. We learn all the things you think is enough, but to us it's far from enough. From personal experience, I know how tough it can be to be hated for and picked on just for who you are and what you identify as. You're ridiculed and people act like it's some sort of joke, like your identity isn't real and therefore it shouldn't be respected, but we should be treated fairly, all of us. Education during lockdown for me was easier in a way. Social media is more accepting of my identity, and I'm able to block out the people who may disagree with who I am, but you can't really do that inside school. You don't have to worry about getting up in the morning and dreading that somebody is going to make a joke about who you really are, but it's nothing to joke about. As we're coming out of lockdown, my hope for the future is that all schools can be more accepting of the LGBTQ+ community. It's easy to skim past the subject and act as if that alone is enough, but putting effort to stop students from picking on us for who we are and organising lessons that are LGBTQ plus related would be enough, I think. We learn about so many things in history, so why can't we learn about the LGBTQ plus community and how it has evolved throughout history for even just one lesson? It would help those who identify differently in those classes, and it would help students who don't fully understand it all. This personally would comfort me and help me know that the education system is actually noticing the full well-being of students and not just what they think is best for the students. Acknowledging this means that you are aware of what affects the community and what things would help the community in school. Acknowledging this means you have an understanding of how LGBTQ plus students feel when they are bullied for who they are and who they love. And you acknowledge it needs to stop. With your help, it could. Yours sincerely, Morgan.
Dear previous school, you may not remember me, but I remember you. I just want you to know that, before lockdown, education as an LGBT young person was generally quite hard for me. Because of my sexuality, I was treated differently and did not have the best experience. Getting on with my education was more difficult because of the discrimination of people around me, and this made it harder for me to pursue my passions. As an LGBT young person, I believe that school should make us feel safe and allow us to express ourselves and celebrate the diversity of our identities. However, I was not free to do this without fear of discrimination and bullying. School let me down and lowered my expectations of what to expect from education as an LGBT student. I should not have to say this, but lockdown actually made my education situation easier. I did not have to put up with face-to-face discrimination and the views of others. A teacher was always there, monitoring online situations until, unlike in real life, when things were more hidden. However, some of the abuse I would normally have received in school just moved online and onto social media. They tried to make me a victim again. However, the distance from you and from them that lockdown brought helped me to get back on track with my education and inspired me to do better. I was not going to be their victim again. I then moved on to a new school who supports LGBT students and deals with situations better than you could. As we come out of lockdown and get back to school, I want you to know my hopes for the future. That LGBT plus students can feel safe and are able to talk about and express their feelings. At school that teach about LGBT plus issues and history so there is more understanding and less ignorance. That young people who are unsure about their sexuality or gender feel free to express and explore this without fear. That schools recognise and support their LGBT plus students and recognise the need for LGBT plus groups in school. You have time to change and to shape a better future for all LGBT students. And this needs to start with us feeling safe and accepted so we can get on with our education. For LGBT students who enjoy school, it is you that needs to change, not us. Our sexuality and gender is not something that you need to see as different. We should be seen as part of your community. We are free to love and be whom we want, and you cannot take that away from us. We will not hide ourselves anymore to try to fit into your society, but we ask that you help us to see a rainbow of diversity in the future where we are able to find our own place to shine. Yours sincerely, member of Gyro LGBT plus Youth.